There was once an emperor who had no children and hence needed to choose a successor to rule the kingdom after him. Thousands of children from across the kingdom came to the palace and were surprised when the emperor announced that he was going to choose one of them. He gave them all a seed. They were to go home to their villages, plant the seed in a pot and grow it for a year. When they returned after a year, the emperor would judge their efforts and choose his successor based on the plant's growth. There was a boy named Ivan who also received his seed and returned to his village. His mother helped him to choose a pot, put some soil into it and planted the seed. Ivan watered his pot every day. Once a week, the children of the village would get together to compare their plants. After a few weeks, there were signs of life in all others' pot except for Ivan's pot. Weeks passed. Ivan continued to water his pot every day. After a few months, the others' pots really came to life. Some had trees starting to grow, some had flowers, and some had leafy shrubs. But poor little Ivan still had nothing growing in his pot. This led the other children to make fun of him. But Ivan continued to water his pot every day. A year passed and it was time to return to the palace to show what had grown and decide on the new heir. Ivan was anxious as his pot still showed no signs of life. He thought, what if the king punished me? He won't know that I watered it every day. He will think that I am lazy. Ivan's mother looked at him and explained that whatever the consequences were, he had to return and show the emperor his barren pot. Ivan and the other children entered the palace gates. By now, some of the plants were looking magnificent and the children were wondering which one of them would the emperor choose. Ivan was embarrassed as the other children looked at his lifeless pot and laughed. The emperor came out and started to make his way through the crowd, looking at the many impressive trees, shrubs and flowers that were on display. The boys all puffed their chest out and tried to look as regal as possible, hoping that they would be chosen as a heir to the empire. Then the emperor came to Ivan. He looked at the pot and then he looked at Ivan. "What happened here?" he asked. Ivan said, "I watered the pot every day, Your Majesty, but nothing ever grew." The king moved on. After a few hours, the emperor finally finished his assessment, looking at the wonderful grown plants. He stood in front of the children and congratulated them on their efforts. He also said, "There is one boy that I would like to point out as he has come to me with literally nothing. Ivan, come here." Oh no, Ivan thought. He slowly moved to the front of the group, holding his barren pot. The emperor held up the pot for all to see. The other children laughed. Then the emperor continued, "A year ago, I gave you all a seed. I told you to plant the seed and return with your plants. But do you know, the seed that I gave you all were boiled seeds, which can no longer germinate or grow. But today, I see you all return with your plants. I wanted to test your integrity and how honest you can be. You all have disappointed me, except for little Ivan. I appreciate Ivan for his integrity and courage and hereby announce Ivan as my successor." Ivan planted honesty and perseverance, hence reaped victory. So, be careful about what you plant today, because what you sow today, you reap tomorrow.